Hi, so today I'm going to talk about a very common talking point on the left. That's mutual aid. Mutual aid is normally given in forms of food to local communities for free. It's just a way of redistributing wealth and making sure everyone in the community is looked after. A very common way of doing this is food drives for the homeless. Um, Now, I'm going to be doing a little slideshow here to help me talk through a very efficient way of doing this, and the way in which I plan to do a bit of mutual aid and feed the homeless through a very cost effective way of making sandwiches. I plan to organise this at some point in a local city. Not sure who I'll do it with, maybe a local Antifa or like a union group or something, or a local socialist group. But yeah, here's my slideshow about mutual aid. So, what I'm thinking of doing is making the bread myself or with some other people um, by buying bread flour in bulk, and you can get it pretty cheaply here. This is 16 kilograms worth of flour. This type of flour, this bag, 16 kilos, can serve 256 people, which would be enough for, obviously enough for a mutual aid event. And it's weird because if you buy the flour yourself and make it, it comes out to almost the same as if you just buy bread for the sandwiches, just buy a loaf of bread. It's very interesting. Because if you look here, as the groceries, 70p per loaf, this is 16 slices. So per slice, that'd work out, like around 4p. And I did the maths on this, and, a 500-gram loaf of bread serves 8. So that means that 16 kilos of bread, because, yeast is negligible, because the flour is the only real weight in the bread. So basically 16 kilos serves 256. And I actually crunched it, and 10.99 divided by 256 is 4p. So it's basically the same price. Like, you get almost no cost saving from buying the bread flour and doing it yourself. Because my original idea was to make it far, far more efficient and far, far cheaper. But with this, revolutionary new idea of buying the flour yourself, so you could do mutual aid much more efficiently. But it seems like that actually won't work because the shop brought bread is basically as cost efficient, which is strange. But I'm keeping this open as an option because, in case anyone I want to do this with, like with, Antifa or whatever, or just me, would rather do it more communally as possible. Because obviously, if you went into fucking Morrison's and brought 50 loaves of Hovis bread, that's a lot of money going to a company. So you want to cut out the middleman as much as possible. So maybe end up making the bread yourself. So there you go, there's two viable options there. Both are basically as cost effective as each other, but one's maybe a little bit more ethical, but more difficult. Yeast to serve 256. I've gone with 256 because that's the amount of people that this bag of bread could feed. Sorry, bag of flour. So to serve 256 people a sandwich each, the amount of yeast comes out to 224 grams. So you need 3 of these 100-gram tubs. That's 330. This is 10.99. So far it's coming to about 14 quid. That's 14 quid to serve 256 people the bread for a sandwich. But here's where the cost goes up a bit. To be fair, ham does cost quite a lot compared to the other things. Here's just, a quick example I found of some relatively cheap pre-sliced ham. Again, if you're going to go all out and make the bread yourself, you might as well slice the ham yourself. Maybe you could save a bit of cost there, but if you don't want to do that, one thing you could do is just buy 500 grams of sliced ham. Found out that one slice of ham on average is 20 grams. So it comes out to 256 slices of this type of ham at £5. I rounded it to 5 because that's a pretty common price I saw for 500 grams. This would come out to 51 quid 20, which is a lot more than the bread. Believe it or not, the ham costs about 4 times more than the bread, which I mean should actually make sense because it's meat. But maybe you could look into some sort of veggie option or pescatarian option. Maybe it'd be cheaper to do tuna or some sort of like salmon or fish to make it a little bit more ethical as well, and obviously be cheaper. Another problem with meat, as well as the ethical concerns, is quite expensive. Here's the cheapest butter I could find on Google. A regular wad of butter on a sandwich is supposed to be 7 grams. So to do 256 of these, you need to buy 2 of these, which would be $3.20. So your total cost to do like the most basic ham sandwich would be, I've got it here somewhere, £68.69. The funny number to serve 256 people each a sandwich. You'd have to spend £68.69, which I think is actually very good. That's very affordable for a normal person. If a few people came together, and I'm going to try and reach out to some people, if a few of us got together and spent a little bit of money, we'd barely even notice it was gone. £68.69. That's definitely doable. So that's sort of the plan. I intend to, hand out some sandwiches in maybe Liverpool or some other area. I'm going to try and reach out to Liverpool Antifa or some other Liverpool left-wing group and see what we can do. See whether they want to make it themselves, make the bread themselves, and maybe slice the ham themselves, or just do a more traditional, just buy the bread and make the sandwiches and go drop them off. I assume there's already existing programs like this in Liverpool, but I'll have a look. And just for comparison, here's some just shop bought sandwiches. Sometimes people buy the shop bought sandwiches for these mutual aid runs, and I think that's a really bad idea. Look at that, $1.15 per sandwich, $1.35 per sandwich. But for this, what this would be, sorry, I forgot to do this calculation. I'll have to do it now. 68.69 divided by 256. That's 26p per sandwich. It's a lot more efficient to make it yourself than go buy in packeted sandwiches for people. I don't know why people do that. Very stupid. But yeah, basically, that's the setup for the first part. Obviously, a big thing that people don't talk about that much is nutrition for people. The thing is, in the UK in the 21st century, it's actually quite easy to get food, just food, like any food. But the big thing is, it's quite hard to get nutritious food. So I may look into, adding in a bit of fruit as well, or giving, instead of just a sandwich, giving like a little lunchbox with some fruit in it or whatever, a little care package with, some nutritious stuff in it, because, homeless people almost always in the center of a city can afford some form of food, but the problem is that food is just regularly a very bad quality. Like, you don't really fucking see many homeless people nomming on a peach, do you? You know what I mean? They don't just have apple sticks and carrot sticks. They'll just buy the cheapest food, and normally the cheapest food is just shite. It's just garbage. So that's another thing I'll have to address. But the basic sandwich setup is there. So hopefully that'll go well. I'll keep updates on the organisational side of it, maybe on my Twitter. Maybe have a look there. But yeah, thank you. That's all. Bye-bye.